Damn it, Strike King. Strike King has really screwed the pooch. Where's AJ? AJ, AJ, I need you. I need somebody to feel my pain of Strike King deciding to go non-gooey eyes, and they have these bulletproof eyes now. Dude, these things are in there. They are in there. Not cool, man. I don't even think they're glued, dude. AJ, I was just talking about you, dude. I said I needed you. I need somebody else to feel my pain over these Strike King eyes that are nearly impossible to get out. The chick magnets are seemingly the worst because they're right on the top of the head. So there's nowhere, like if you grip the bait like this to get the eyes out, it's very close to your finger, and not cool. Not cool, Strike King. Brian, what's up? I'm getting the eyeballs out of your baits. I'm assuming you want these painted, I hope, because I've been popping the eyeballs out of them. They did. They went the way of Bomber, Pradco. If anybody's ever tried to take the eyes out of a fat-free shad, seemingly impossible task. This is a jig head. This is a chick magnet. It depends, Brian. Is this going to be, are you going to send me conceptual artwork? Tom, I'm excited to see what happens at this Lanier tournament. Dudes seem to be pretty excited about it. Oh, come on. Oh, come on, Storm. Release your eye. Oh, no. Did it come out? Kind of. Kind of. Super bug type stuff. I like that. Yo, Gator. Bass Fanatic. I wish they were too. I think they probably. Oh, not good. Not good. Come on. I'm trying to get these eyeballs out in their weird shape. So you need to save them, but Storm apparently likes to use super glue, so they're non-removable. There we go. Scratch that one out. Oh, I don't know if you can see that, but whatever this glue is on this Arashi thing is stringy. Like it's still glue, like they hot glued it in. It's weird. Snow. Come on, is it April Fool's again? Oh, back to streaming the bank beater tournament. Yes. I think it's gonna be fun to watch. Guys seem to be excited about it. So there we go. These duo eyes come out nice, and it's good because they're irreplaceable. I might have some, but I don't know how many. Oh, no, don't do that. Don't do that. There we go. There we go. Brian, you sent me all these baits with these very lure-specific eyes. When I started looking at them, I was like, ooh, that's going to be challenging. That's going to be a challenge because I have to surgically extract these eyes so I can reuse them. Oh, come on. And try not to damage them too much. That Bass Fanatic, I would think that the local advantage would be pretty strong. I don't know. What do y'all say? Do y'all think that a non-local has an outward chance of being able to pattern their lake with no practice and be able to? I think it's possible. I think it's possible. I mean, the biggest bag on the lake, you know what I mean? Like, that's hard. If you don't have any knowledge of, I think that's the biggest issue you run into on local lakes, is that some areas just don't have them. Like, they got fish in them. Everywhere's got fish in them, but they don't have like the size. But certain areas are just known locally to have better, bigger quality fish. And I think if you're not from there, you might miss that in the days of fishing. Paul Driscoll. Everybody look for Paul Driscoll. JP is making his prediction. So I don't know any locals to over there, so we're taking JP's word for it. Y'all into that gob stuff? I ain't into gobs. I never understood how people that I thought, oh, that one's stuck. Guys that I thought were like hardcore bass guys, because I was hardcore bass guy. And then I would have other guys that I thought were like as hardcore as me that would choose turkey hunting over fishing, and it boggled my mind. And it's like, you're really going turkey hunting instead of bass fishing? Are you nuts? I never could do it. Yeah, it was me and Morgan, I guess. I could never comprehend bypassing a damn bass up in the dirt to go sit in the woods and swat mosquitoes. I guess some people probably have nice weather, but about got a turkey with the truck. Gobs can be quick. Jeremy, I saw the girl that used to be the weather chick down here moved to Kentucky, and now she does the Kentucky news, and I still follow her, and I get all the Kentucky news updates, or I get all the Kentucky weather updates. And she posted yesterday that y'all were gonna have some twistery stuff going on. prior, I always felt like I was cheating on the bass if I would go like turkey hunt in the morning and then go fishing in the morning. I mean, then go fishing in the afternoon. That never made me. Uh, never made me feel warm and cozy inside. I couldn't. I felt like I was doing a disservice to the bass. That I was either going to go all in or nothing. I would either sit on my ass or I would go rip bass. No half and half. But I'm weird like that. I took 2 different people out and everyone had a 10-inch beard bird within 2 hours. AJ, you do it too? You're a gob goer after her? How many other people turkey hunt? Does everybody turkey hunt but me? Is there any anti-turkey guys for the love of bass fishing? Does anybody stand with me? Quit because it was too easy? Are Nebraska birds dumb? I'd rather turkey hunt than eat when I'm hungry. That's pretty strong. Morgan stands with me. I think that's about us. Like I said, my dad was real hardcore into it, but I never got into it. And my buddies are into it. They asked me to go. I say, nah. Damn fish ain't going anywhere. I know they're not, but I feel like any opportunity I take away from fishing, like if I go turkey hunting for 4, 5, 6, 4 hours, whatever, like that's 4 hours I could have been bass fishing. And I'd rather be bass fishing than dicking around with a damn bird. But Arkansas doesn't have a good turkey population? That's surprising. Yeah, Burns, you ever done that? You ever tried to make a box call? My dad built a duck call. Still working on that. I took the reeds out of a Richington and put in it. I think that's half the reason it sounded half-assed good. But swim testing baits. That sounds fun. Oh no, another one of these. Let's see if I can get this out without pushing this hook in my hand. I might have to drill these out. Nebraska gets more non-residents than residents at winter. How about that? Yo, John, what's up? What's new in Canada? Brian, I will say you have an interesting choice of baits here. These are real glued in. These are real stuck. This one's gonna be fun to paint. I haven't painted one of these yet. I have some of these in my personal stock, but that I've been meaning to paint in this exact color, but I haven't done it yet. The Ichikawa RC King Kong shed. Scott, you ever say, you know what? I'd rather not catch a bass this morning. I'd rather go sit in the woods and make noises at birds. Do one thing only, and that's build balsa plugs. Burns is a purist. He didn't even catch bass. Brian, I don't know how to do that. I have no way of doing camo. Unless there's some sort of camouflage stencil set. It needed to be done with vinyl. Of like a vinyl sticker set. I don't know how you do that. Like the lipless? I don't remember. Send me a picture. Never. Don't hunt at all anymore. Takes away from bass fishing. There we go, Scott. Scott's on board. I didn't know Nebraska was the hub for gobs. The Dream series. What's next in the Dream series, Burns? You like that rattle? Is that the one you were hearing? That one's silent. Or this one? That one's silent. The Alien has interesting rattle. Chick Magnet has agate, so they should have called it. The Chick Magnet has a subtle sound. What is this thing? Flat Force. Silent. This one rattles a little bit. It's Duo. Apex Crank 66. It's got a... I don't even know that that's a rattle. I just think like the weight's loose. I'm trying to think of another dream. What we could add to the dream team, Burns, that would qualify as a dream plug. Dream Pop, Dream Walk. Dream Prop. Good one. Good one. Oh, Morgan, while I'm thinking about it. Let's see. Ooh. Oh, I got brave. I think I cut my lip slot in the wrong spot. I think this is gonna, I don't know what this is gonna do. Prop bait is the only other topwater. Double prop or single? I used to like those boy howdies that would have one prop on the back, because then they would walk a little better. Redfin sunglasses, never heard of them. Morgan, this thing's been sitting here for an eternity, dude. Like, it looks like I put a line tie in it, but that's it. Yeah, yours is a lot steeper. But what I could do is I could put Lexan in this and then just bend it till it runs right. So I got that going for me. But I have a little, I thought I had a little stash of them somewhere. Do you weight yours, Morgan? The boy howdy have a weight that make it stand head up? I didn't. Maybe it's not the boy howdy. What's the one that Cotton Cordell made? The plastic one. I didn't think those sank. Chris, I do like the idea of that. Burns, not so much. Burnsy, not feeling it. Oh, wrong box. Wrong box. Let's go here. Morgan, I'll dig them out. Anthony, I do probably have the sexiest red fin you've ever seen in your life over there. I wonder what the Dream Pop would do with a spinner tail. That would be interesting. That'd be real interesting. Or something like a Buzz Jet would be cool, like a big fat one. They made the Boy Howdy and the weighted Boy Howdy that had a split shot on the tail hook hanger that sat more nose up. That's interesting. I never got a hold of one of those. What was the old Lucky Craft topwater with the tail prop? The Splash It or the Splash Tail? They had one called a Splash Tail that was like a Sammy with a tail on the back. Splash Tail, I believe, was the name of that one. Then they had one that kind of looked like a gunfish that had props on it. I'm trying to think. I need to go through my Burns profiles and pick out a good one that would make a good prop bait. What's in here? These are my ancient Burns relics. We don't pull those out. I feel like I had an idea for a prop or something. What is this? Oh, it was. I do like that one. I need to throw this one, Burns. Have I not tested that one? I need to test that one. On the front, just behind the front hook hanger. Okay. I have to propped wakes Darren has. Daron. I don't know that I've seen those. Double line tie Bagley. Have fun, Pryor. Don't shoot them all. Or do shoot them all and get it out of your system. Does anybody besides me have any history with the double line tie Bagley? That cares to share their impressions? Dustin, I would consider it the worst Bagley ever created. So when I was in Tuscaloosa, there was a store called Woods and Water. Well, Woods and Water had those double line tie Bagleys, and they had this little John boat inside the store, and it was like their clearance deal. So they would put clearance stuff and just throw it in the John boat, and you dig through the John boat. Well, me, like most people at the time, kind of knew that Bagleys were awesome because you hear people talk about them, and you're like, oh. But you didn't know, I didn't know what Bagleys were awesome and what Bagleys weren't awesome. I just thought Bagleys in general were awesome. So I just loaded the cart with Bagleys because they were like $4. And I got me a whole belly full of them double line tie Bagleys. And let me tell you, they couldn't even give me $4 per Bagley. They were that terrible. So the first problem I had was I took them, whizzed it out there, reeled it in. It didn't wobble. It just flopped and like it really didn't do anything. So I said, okay, must be the wrong wobble setting. So I put it on the other, changed the split ring, put it on the other wobble setting, reeled it in. It still didn't do anything. And then after making about 5 casts, I looked at the bait and they had all split down the lip slot to the back of the bait. They didn't have this until they hit the water. And I said, well, maybe that was a dud. So I got another one out. Did the same thing. Got another one out. Did the same thing. I went through all of them. They all cracked and they all swam like ass. If you would even call it swimming, it wasn't even that. It was like floundering. But so those all went. I think those are probably the only baits I've ever thrown away. I don't know that I've ever thrown away a bait, but I think I threw those away, or I gave them away, or something. The Nippidity Bass Fanatic is an incredible topwater. My grandfather swore by him. He liked the Devil's Horse, but he would throw a Nippidity. My dad, his favorite topwater is a Nippidity. I was more of a Devil Horse guy, but I've watched my dad catch some damn giants on a Nippidity. And I've caught some giants on a Nippidity, but it's one of those kind of forgotten baits. I don't know what wood they're made out of. Pine. Burns, do you know what a Nippidity is made out of? But they're great. Worse than the ones in the plastic clear box? You mean the redos? The ones that came out after the original series called the Big B? I have one somewhere. 5-pointers were terrible. What is a Nippidity? It's a double spin prop bait that's just like shorter and fatter than a Devil's Horse. I should have one hanging out. I can show you one, maybe. In here. One in here. One in here. One in here. One in here. See if I got one right here. Nippidity. I think my dad's hijacked them all. I got Devil's Horses out the ass. I don't think I have a Nippidity in here anymore. Got lots of Devil's Horses. Ow. Yeah, no Nippidities. Yeah, just think if you took a Devil's Horse and you shrunk it down to about 2.5, 3 inches long and just made it real tall and fat. It's round. This is my first gunfish I ever bought. Caught $1 million on this thing. Nice oval split ring. I asked Roland the question, what devil's horse color was his all-time favorite? Chris, can I guess? Chrome, black back, orange belly. I'll show you mine. Gunfish is a good bait. This was an interesting choice, but this was always my favorite. It's yellow with silver scales and a green back. Red nose, red tail. This one has been slung around. You know what's funny was I didn't even change the hooks out on this thing. A lot of these have split rings on them, like this one. Uh-oh. I thought it did, no? My big one does. I went 2 hooks on this one, 2 gigantic hooks. I don't know what I was thinking. Took the middle one off. Just added 2 number 2s. Interesting choice. Coach dog and black devil's horse. For whatever reason, biggest spot I ever caught in my life was on this bait, and I've seen weird things happen with devil horses, where you would think it wouldn't make a difference, but like fishing for spotted bass, throw a spook over them, nothing. Throw a buzz bait, throw any kind of like anything, but that damn devil's horse would get them to fire. Roland's favorite is the white with the black bars. His eyes lit up. White with the black bars. I don't get silver bars. Red hook is key. Would that be that one, the big one? Are those black? They look kind of black. They're just not jet black like the back. I don't know if I'm sure there's a million variations of this. And it's kind of white. You know, Burns, that's an interesting thing about a devil's horse, is that I never caught a fish reeling one in, and you would think with as good as a whopper plopper gets bit and a buzzbait gets bit, that reeling in a devil's horse would kind of just be like a subtle buzzbait. But I don't know that I ever caught a fish reeling one in. Twitch bait, yeah. NC Shell White. I think I've got that one. It's not in a gunfish, though. It's in this. That one. That the one? Is that the color you're referring to? The last time I threw this was at the mouth of Paradise Point at Lay Lake in about 2007. That's my last memory of that bait. Berkeley Spin Rockets? Haven't had any of those sent in. He did say sun color matters on that bait. Oh, sun. Jeremy, I feel like you owe it to yourself to go out and get you any colored devil's horse and give it a whirl. Do you get a lot of ploppers? No, I deny them because the tail material is weird. If they were hard plastic tails, I would, but no. I have a couple of gunfish and pretty much down to blank. Yo, Johnny. What? Look at the insert on this Norman. I've never seen this before. Have y'all? Has anybody seen that insert before? It's got to be something rare. It's a rainbow. Huh. That's weird. Well, I guess I get to paint over it. What's your take on the newer clear plastic baits versus the old bone colors? The butyrate, I don't know. I think the sound guys, like to claim that butyrate has a different sound, which I can get behind. But I mean, I'm trying to think of any butyrate baits that I would still use, like a Norman Bigby. Like I've got some of those that are butyrate, and I know a lot of the Normans are butyrate, and I like those. If they were ABS, would I still throw them? Probably. Would they catch fish as good? I don't know. That's the thing. I don't have like a butyrate RC 1.5 and an ABS RC 1.5 to like be able to tell. I guess wiggle warts were butyrate. So I don't. It's hard to say. Pick up some Berkeley Chopo's clearance out of the Cami, $2 a meter. Ooh, photo finish, gross. The Chopo has the hard tail that's actual plastic. Yeah, I could paint those though. I typically don't. It's more of a pain in the ass having to deal with that tail because you have to wrap rubber bands around the joint so the tail is fixed in a certain position. So when you like all your colors line up and then you're trying to lay scales down and that tail's moving, like I'd rather just not deal with it. Send them to AJ. Let him deal with them. Pre-wrap warts use multiple different plastics for the opaque. Clear ones sound different than those. Yeah. So I think if you're a sound guy, there might be something to it. If you're not, I don't know that you would notice a difference. I don't know. I'm trying to think. Like I said, I don't have maybe rattle traps like an old Bill Lewis trap. Those are all butyrate. I don't know those. Like I said, I don't fish one enough to have like an opinion about, you know, if it's really that big a deal. Because I'm not a sound guy, not a rattle guy. If it knocks, it knocks. I typically opt for the side of silent. Um, Around grass, I know it matters, but I don't fish around grass that much. So, um, on the way home from the lake, I found 8-inch Zoom lizards and cotton candy and Junebug red for $2 a pack. That's a pretty sweet deal. Um, when it comes to the plopper, you need to throw one color plopper 130 called Chubby. Where I had um, so these are butyrate. I painted this for myself, but you can see the lip is still milky bone white. I kept this one for myself because it was silent. All these rattle, or they this one did rattle. Sounds good. So I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, red are the red fins. The old. See, I think that's the other thing is like the guys that like throwing the old Cordell red fins. They like the butyrate because they like the chrome coming off of them, and they like the bone underneath it. They like the color of the plastic. Is it the plastic that like makes the bait good, or is it just like a color thing? Um, More dull, more like a one knocker. The modern one knocker resembles butyrate. I'm kind of with Johnny on that. Like, but like I said, I'm not one of those guys that gets real anal about knocking sounds. Um, so I prefer. I mean, I think it's just me that I prefer older stuff because I pretty much know what I'm getting into. Um, I side with Johnny. They're they have their time and it's fun. Um, you need to get a few shallow smoothies from Lucky Strike. Really, what is a shallow smoothie? I don't like anything from Lucky Strike except their ringworms. What's their bait that they came out with that you could stick inserts in? Y'all remember that? That you could take the back out of and then put like a different paint job in it? Shallow smoothie. It's a speed in, dude. Or it's a shallow, deep little in. How big is this thing? 2 inches, 3/8. How can they sell Chili Bowl Like, that is a Norman bait, dude. Norman-ish. That is, like, not only is it like, it's got Norman's crawfish on it, and it's got Norman's color name, Chili Bowl. Maybe Norman's making it for him. Have that old bait that you adjust the suspending with the water in a syringe. Gator, did you go out there and did you use the bait as it was intended? Did you take your syringe and add water or remove it? They make a reddish peach gill. Once. He said, I'm good. Brendan, you might want to stock up on these. They're on Tackle Warehouse for clearance, and it looks like these won't be coming back, unfortunately, for BBC. Yeah, the Lucky Strike smoothie doesn't look like it's going to be doing much. Okay. So here's what the deal is, Morgan. Now that you say that, the Lucky Strike plant in Greenwood, what they did was they probably found a box of these and they sold them as their baits. This is 100% a Norman bait. Like, that is all Norman, dude. Like, that's Norman. Yo, Clay. Yeah. So that's what I'm thinking is they found old stock maybe in the warehouse and probably are just selling them. American original shallow smoothie crankbait. I don't think they would need to put original in the name. The lure is resistant to harmful elements such as hard impacts. It says the American Original series is also 100% designed, manufactured, and custom painted in the USA. That's probably true 20 years ago when these were probably originally manufactured. There's a story to this that I don't like. I mean, I can't see the bill. I don't know what the bill angle is. I mean, the bill shape. I do have the Spider-Man phone. The cost to have my screen replaced is the same cost as a phone, so I don't want to do that. I already have like 30. Well, you should be good for a while. And then when they run out, you can buy run out and buy all the rest of the clearance colors. So these look to be already almost sanded. Think about messing with high density foam. I destroyed a new phone trying to repair the glass on the back. Ouch. John Sukup has apparently bought out their warehouse. Who, Lucky Strike or Norman? Tell me more, Dustin. Which warehouse? Lucky Strikes? Because I heard when Toby Keith bought it, rest in peace, Toby Keith. When Toby Keith bought it, I saw an interview with him and like some manager dude, and they were walking through the warehouse, and then the dude mentioned that there was like 30 years of inventory. He's like, dude, we got stuff like just bodies everywhere. And which was interesting. So if I had to bet, those came out of that. If it was the old Norman building, that probably Norman just left stuff. John had a Lucky Strike for $1 at the Classic. Travis, did you buy any of the shallow stubbies? Get to RC Freaks. Those things were atrocious, dude. Clay, are you here to openly admit that you bought the Freak? Never owned one. No. Should have bought all the. Yeah, AJ says the wiggle warts are great. The Lucky Strike wiggle warts. Bought the copy of the wake bait. It's hard to pass up a buck. I mean, that's probably well under manufactured cost. They didn't have the wiggle warts. Travis probably Sukup put those in his garage and then brought out all the rest of the junk for everybody else. I don't know how Lucky Strike ever thought that they were going to be able to sell the RC Freak to anyone, but it looked like it had a flathead shovel on the front that tapered down to a little bitty place on the nose. Terrible design. Might have worked good, but it looked too stupid for, I think, anybody to spring on. Travis, did you get some of the Trickster knockoffs? Strike Pro made the Bubba. That's a little Bubba, but the secret weapon, it's called. Strike Pro lures have been the choice of many anglers around the world and have won many fishing tournaments and competitions worldwide. Whether you are a tournament pro or a recreational angler, don't go fishing without lures from Strike Pro. Remember, limit your catch and release for the future. Limit your catch and release? Wouldn't that be the opposite? If you tell somebody to limit your catch and release, wouldn't that be telling them to keep more fish? Gators, this is where the hybrid hunter came from. This is what Castledon had that he took to Strike King, and then Strike King collaborated with Strike Pro and had Strike Pro manufacture these for Strike King. So if you had a Strike Pro Bubba, which you probably didn't because no one did, what you're getting now is from the same manufacturer, from the same molds, same plastic, same everything. So that is the OG hybrid hunter. This is a hybrid hunter. This just came first, and then Strike King got Strike Pro to make them for him. But there's a normal one. Um, Mike Powers, what's up, dude? Uh-oh, we got wigglewort theories coming up. Where are we at here? Of all the theory, oh, here we go. Hold on. Of all the theories of why the old warts, there's one I've never heard anyone say, and I think it's the most important. The uneven lip is the only theory that matters. I think it's the shallow cupping to lip on the warts. I don't know, Brendan. You should ask him. Um, the cupping does matter. On one side is higher. Is that consistent though, Burns? Let's have a look. See. Yeah, I mean this side, this left side, does look maybe a little higher. I don't know if my eyes are deceiving me or not. Yeah, it turns up a little bit. This one's not as pronounced, but it may be a little bit. On all the old storm warts, it is higher. The Lucky Strike warts had the same thin bill. So you think a lot of the problem, AJ, is that they're building the lips too thick? Interesting. Interesting. I don't know why I have these, but I do. They just hang out. Maybe one day I'll go to the Ozarks and get to throw those where they're supposed to be thrown. Um, yeah, it looks like it's turned that way. Why are people still inviting people on Instagram to the broadcast channel like it's a new thing? The Lucky Strikes had a thinner bill. What about, how does that compare? How does the bill thickness compare to a rock crawler, AJ? Are their bills pretty thin or are they pretty thick? Packing tape. Certainly could, Anthony. Certainly could. Yeah, I guess I need to. I guess I need to get on Whatnot and sell these things. Guaranteed uneven bill. Bills are guaranteed to be wonky. This one even has a big square in the plastic. See that big square imprinted in the plastic? What does that mean? Interesting. Crawler's thick. What does an old wart sell for? Gator, I think it depends on who's selling it. Like I said, I've never gotten it. This may be blasphemy. I've caught some rock crawler fish. I mean, not rock crawler, wigglewort fish. But I don't know that I've ever caught a wigglewort fish on a craw color. It was all on a shad color. Every fish I've caught on a wigglewort was on a shad color. Oh, go ahead and flame me. Go ahead and flame me. Yeah, I mean, it depends. Collector quality, colors, condition, all that. It's like anything collectible. Condition and rarity are all going to be dependent on how much they go for. But I mean, I would feel like that's a good fishable bait that should sell for $25 at least. I mean, this is the ones you want to fish. And they've got clear bills, so I think there's schools of guys that want the clear bills, and there's guys that want the painted. I guess the clear bills are a little more desirable than the painted bills, because the theory is that the painted bill looks like a bigger profile than the clear ones. So this would be a little more finesse snack size than if you wanted a bigger presentation, you would use the painted bill, and then you would have the profile, the extra inch of profile, that it's a bigger thing. Um, don't know. I'm not a wigglewort aficionado. The square on the lip is where they revoked the dimple around the line top. Interesting. Why don't they all have it? That one's got it. Those two have it. The steely warts, is that the little ones, or is that the colors? No, they have some wild ass colors. People are too educated. Anthony, I would agree. Like everything, like there's, like I feel like that's hurt all the like resale markets for like old stuff, because back in the day when there wasn't that much information on stuff, I think stuff was more rare. Um, you see it a lot in Bagley's. Um, Bagley stuff used to sell like crazy, and it's dropped a lot. I don't know if it's just like the generation now doesn't like give a shit about Bagley stuff, but I feel like there's always like a generation that gets into Bagley's. But I think because of all the information and social media and stuff, what you found out was back in the day when you had eBay and you had these like swap shows, like the collector shows. That was about the only two places you would get to go to see what was out there. So I think with social media now, people digging through their stuff, they know what a Bagley is. And then they see something sell for, $500 or something, and they're like, "Oh, I think I've got one of those." So all these people are digging up all this shit and being able to identify it and know what it is and putting it out there, and all this stuff that people thought was pretty rare, come to find out there's way more out there than they ever thought there were, because people are like educated on what it is, and they just put it up on, rather than wasting away in their garage. They see it has value now, and they say, "Oh, well, I'm gonna sell this." And then there's like, you know an influx of twilight pink honeybees hitting the market. um Most of the old desirable baits, the guys that know what they're looking for, all the baits aren't the same. Guys find to keep the right stuff. The secret, stay close to the vest. Yeah, that's why. That's why whenever you'd see like pros selling stuff on like eBay through like Brody of the Lake, like crankbaits, I always thought, well, these things are not good. You know what I mean? If Rick Clunn's willing to give up his Bagley Bossa B3, it's probably a really shitty Bagley. So and it's not like some of it is like even with Bagleys, like you can buy all the the brass Bagleys you want from the right generation, and even then you still might not get like that right one. They'll be good baits, but they won't be like the right one. It really takes getting enough of them to like cycle through them and pick the ones that are the best out. Um, and I've got one like my favorite Balsa B3. I bought it because it was hideously ugly, and I was attracted to it on eBay. It was the ugliest, one of the ugliest Bagleys I've ever seen. It was a repaint, and it's probably the one of the best running ones I have. Look at those eyes, dude. Triple dot, big gill, double dot. I kind of like the double dot. I might steal that. Look at the nice. This is what sold me. The nice cursive Bagley on the belly. But I threw this thing, and it runs like a dream, dude. And it's got epoxy smeared all over it. But when I tell you it runs good, it runs friggin' awesome. So, but the problem with it is now that it runs so good, I don't want to throw it because I want to keep it to see the action. So, which is what happens. I typically keep my lesser baits, I keep my better baits in here on the wall, and I throw just random ones when I fish that if I lose, I lose. Um, if Saladin keeps it up, he'll have a jersey like Milliken, just as hairy a coat. There you go, Johnny. So all of them will catch fish. Some will just catch them better than others. Some just have that something. Um, where was that? Good question, Kyle. I've been trying to. Burns and I have talked about that. Zaldane got dropped from 13. Good. They were a bunch of shitheads anyway. Hopefully they get wiped off the face of the planet. Milliken swimbait runs like a scatter rat. That's the rumor. You just gotta reel it right, Clay. You just don't know how to reel right, bro. You just don't know. Oh, look at this little guy. I gotta sell this thing. Should I jump on Whatnot and sell this clip box first run Weewort? Still sitting over here. I haven't done anything with it. It's just hanging out. Getting scratches probably. This is an XV37 Crawdad deep diver. 1/3 of an ounce, 2 1/4 inches. It's a nice specimen. The guy's Rapala doesn't want. So now they're going to make all their Rapala people be 13 people. know. Weird thing. Do we need a Anthony? Do we need a reset in the fishing world? Not just the regular world. Not just this reality. Does bass fishing reality need a reset of its own? Like an early one? You think this bass fishing reality needs an early uh, a precursor to the Great Reset? We need an early uh, hog reset. How have they stayed alive? I try not to say that name, Clay, but it's a good question. Money. Corporate America needs to get out. Yeah, I think we need to. Is that what needs to happen? Is fishing needs to crash out, get all the corporate shit out of here, and then it needs to the little seedlings need to grow back up. Prior to COVID, everything was fine. eBay prices were fair. No fucktards crashing the lakes. Yeah, that shook things up. That's what I don't get about eBay. Is like there was a time, dude. I've said this a million times. There was a time for the past 20 years that you could get on eBay and you could buy a Norman middle end or a deep little end or a DD22. You can buy them for like $2, a couple bucks shipping. Now guys want like a shitty middle end. They want like $8 for it. Should Johnny Morris buy Bass or MLF? No, I don't think so. Johnny has too much. Johnny has too much involvement in the whole industry. I mean, he already's part owner in MLF, so I mean, he kind of has, right? Johnny is corporate America. Yeah, he's gotten so big that, yeah, he is no longer. I don't think for the people. But yeah, I think Johnny Morris is a owner of MLF. I think Johnny, you're seeing a little kickback now. What is this? I think people are maybe realizing, hey, maybe this might be an issue. The celebrity pro-am, all I saw was pictures of. I didn't even know it was happening for one, AJ, and then I saw like Trait Zaldane post a picture of Chris and the dude he fished with. That was all I saw. 20-minute dump. Corporate America is like, oh, you don't like this? Well, we're making new fans. Y'all can leave. Or they say, oh, you don't like this? Okay, well, we'll make you like it. Because we're going to shove it down your throat and not give you any other option, and we're going to strangle you until you like it. And then you'll forget all about it. You'll forget this ever happened. It's not going to hurt a bit, just for a minute. And then water under the bridge. There was no. Here's another question for you dudes. Reset time. Here is here's a great question. Does anybody watch the Bass Master, Bass Nation, whatever podcasts? I don't. I don't like. It seems like they put a little bit of work into it, but how are you Bassmaster and have the lamest podcast of anybody on YouTube? Like, who listens to this stuff? You would think that they, being the leader of bass fishing supposedly, that they would get some talent in there or change their format around, get some interesting guests, promote it differently, do something, because I think we know people want to listen to bass fishing stuff. And if you're the leader in bass fishing, shouldn't you not be the shittiest at it? Dad needs a stable market to sell his house. Need a crash to buy yours. Understood it. Understood. Wouldn't watch an NFL. I would I would certainly watch because I think there's ways that like Bass could put out stuff that would be intriguing and kind of make you forget. Like I don't care that Bass does it. I mean, I watch their footage anyway, so like what does it matter to me if they produce a podcast? If it's good, it's good. Theirs just isn't good, I think is the problem. Um uh so Mike, it's on Monday night with Travis. AJ, that's a great idea. Just think about what did FLW do back in the day? They did that like in the box thing where they sent like somebody out to all the boats in the at the tournaments, and they would get the guy to open up like a box and like show you baits out of his boat. And it wasn't like bullshit. Like it wasn't like Kevin Van Dam showing you a red eye shad that you've seen him pick up a million times or like a 1.5. It was like dude showing like stuff from like that you could tell they've been carrying around in their boat for like 20 years. Um, uh, Food got here. Um, Burns, I think it can be done. I think it can be done. Went to the tackle shop yesterday and heard a familiar voice. Looked up and E was on the screen. They were watching the Crush, or were they watching something else? Ike retires, and old school Ike live runs the show. Pete being serious, Ike yelling, Brian doing his best, Dave shitting on anyone. Yes, the old Ike lives were incredible. They were incredible. Um, I don't know. I don't know. Like I think Bass just needs to get. They need to quit thinking that fucking what's his dick. Uh, Somebody said his name. Ronnie Moore is like the savior to Bassmaster. Like they put the dude on everything, and it's like, no, like that's the problem. Like, get somebody else. You know what I mean? Bass fishing is like living in Mayberry. I think they want you to think that. Um, Does Color Matter podcast with him and Fritz? That was a good one. That was Bass After Dark. Yeah, that was definitely that was a definite good show to watch. Um, yeah, I think they need to shit can Ronnie Moore and get some damn talent in there. What is Todd talking about? I haven't got a Todd notification. Steve Young, I know the name, Gator. Is he dropping videos or is he doing a live? That's saying something, Jeremy, and I'm with you. No. Throwback tournament. My title's better, Todd. I watched Luke yesterday talk trash about a guy I never heard of. Went to that show and subbed after watching him roast Luke for 17 minutes. Not a fan of Luke Duncan myself. So what's funny is now that I say that, Bass is going to be like, we've revamped our podcast. Welcome Luke Duncan and Ronnie Moore. Fuck. No thanks. No thanks. Get Watson on there. Watson probably get old after a while. I don't know who the guy is. They're out there though. Yeah, I think that's my problem, Johnny. You can't be. I think that's what bothers me. It's like a where you just float around in the middle. You know what I mean? You don't really have an opinion like you do, and then and then you're like kind of soft on it. You just want to kind of float around and be like, it's like the guy that wants to be everybody's friend. That like when they're like, I'm really into like, you know, doing this, and it's like something that you really like, and you're like, yeah, I like that too. It's like, no, you don't. Shut up. Mercer's a little dry like Mercer. I think Mercer comes from a good place. Um, I think Mercer is pure of heart. Like he just seems like he's just a bass nerd, and that's what I like about Mercer. I like whatever personality flaws. I see Mercer as a genuine human, and that's why I like Mercer. Um, People who pretend to be interested in your job when you're a lure painter. Like, what does that mean? This I feel like that also, AJ. When you it's the same type of person that doesn't like when you talk to them and they don't listen. You know what I mean? Like they hear what you're saying, but they're not listening to what you're saying. Like there's like, oh yeah, cool. It's like, did you hear what I said? I paint bass lures. Like, do you even know what that means? Like, yeah, for like fishing. It's like, oh, it's just you've met other people that do that. Okay. Yourself. Johnny is throwing flames today, dude. Johnny, what got into you today? You were feeling feisty. Robbie Floyd is great. Yes. He did the Alabama Bass Trail commentating for a while. I don't know if he's doing it this year, but I like Robbie Floyd. Uh, Off days. Had a lot of time to think. Uh, Hank trying to do the podcast thing. Yeah, I don't know if I don't. I was talking to somebody else about that. I don't know that Hank. I don't know if Hank 25 years later has the same magic and appeal listening to him talk that he did when I was a kid. Like I like Hank. Grew up, you know, following all this stuff and watching his shows and all that stuff, but it just, I don't know. Velvet's great. Jeremy, everybody wants that, but you'll never see it. You will never see it. It'll never happen. Nobody can afford to tell all. Put Johnny on Zinc and roast everything. %90 of SM in YouTube associated with it. What is SM? Kid in Colorado. Who is he? Zona podcast. See, I don't think any of those guys can tell all. Anthony, I'm really surprised because I'm pretty fast to notice like weird physical things like that. Like when somebody's talking, I'll like notice like a weird toe or something or weird fingers. I never noticed Kumar's. I don't feel like I see his hands. I'm kind of disappointed in myself that I haven't picked up on that. You won't unsee it now. Probably right. I'll be looking. Did y'all watch the Bass After Dark with the what were they talking about? Does whoever control the narrative? I thought they missed lots of points on that. Like they were making a bunch of points that didn't to me have any relevancy. Like especially about the bait sales market, like about the reviews. Like how is a company supposed to promote their product not positively? Like what company is going to come out and release a crankbait and have their pro staff say it's like, okay, hey, we got this new crankbait. It's not a rock crawler and it's not a wigglewort. It's probably worse than those, but it'll still catch some fish. But we needed a bait that was kind of in that rock crawler thing, in that world, because rock crawlers are selling pretty good. So we needed a rock crawler-esque bait. So we've got the gravel dog. And like I said, it's not as good. And you should still probably own rock crawlers. But we got some cool colors. Maybe try those. I didn't understand it. It skirted around the actual topic. Yeah, like everything they kept talking about, I was like, this doesn't have to do with, like, none of this has to do with the narrative. And of course they control it. They're the biggest like media outlet. Like who else is going to control it? Me? You? No. Nobody hears us. Hank told me his editing software volume control was hosed. Fire the IT folks. They will stand by righteousness to fight his own. If you let them bring things and other things. What's really dumb is I've said this on lots of streams. I used to comment this all the time on Bass Talk Live. But people talk about growing the sport. And if they really want to grow the sport, which they don't, that's bullshit. Like, here's, before I get to that, here's what I think people fail to understand about the narrative and bass and all this and lure manufacturers is, and it's changing, but they have treated bass fishermen like brain dead, single cell slime since the beginning. All their sales, all their marketing, all of that stuff is directed to a moron. Like, that's how they treat it. Like, you are just brain dead. And this, we're going to spoon feed you this shit because you're so stupid that you won't ever see what's actually happening. And I think now, like, because of like social media and YouTube and stuff, people are like, like speaking out and their videos get views and stuff. And they're like, hey, we're not that stupid. You know what I mean? Like, we understand that you have 50 guys on pro staff and you have a marketing machine and you're trying to sell us a piece of shit. But guess what? I have 300,000 followers and I'm going to tell them it's a piece of shit because it is a piece of shit. And like, I think that's what the marketing machine is having to deal with a little bit. But besides that, that's how I've always seen it. Is they've always treated bass fans as idiotic, and now I don't think it's working. I think it's slowly like dribbled down to where people are just not listening to it. Yeah. Oh, back to growing the sport. Yeah, growing the sport is not live scope, and it's not $150,000 boats and $100,000 boats. Growing the sport is them having a pond tournament. Wouldn't that be fun? You know why? Because everybody's got access to a pond somewhere. Like, there's a municipal lake somewhere around you that you and your friends could go have a little mini bass tournament on. It's awesome. It would be great. It's accessible. You don't need some bullshit that costs more than your house to go participate in it. It's relatable. Hey, I can go buy a few baits. I can spend $100, $150, give me a combo with some tackle, and I can go bass fishing. And if they had the pros, and I think that's why the Guggen Squad blew up, obviously, because it was relatable and kids could do what they saw. You know, they had neighborhood lakes, they could go do that. Bass has never done anything remotely like that to grow the sport because they don't want to grow the sport. So I don't know. Ponds are key. I'm with Anthony. I don't really want to. Well, I just want it to grow a little bit. I like the slow burn where you get the right guys, not like I think we saw. I think that's what we saw. Is we saw maybe this was Guggen Squad. Maybe they're the cause of all this. They blew up and a bunch of kids and a bunch of people got really excited about fishing and it popped. And you've got all these new people into fishing, but they weren't really into fishing. They weren't lifers. So like when we were coming up, if you got into bass fishing, you were a lifer. You know what I mean? Like there wasn't any going back. But now the generation that just got the bug, they got into it for a little while and then they just were like, let's go play Fortnite, something. You know what I mean? Let's go do something else. So you had a big spike, and all these kids and young adults are like, this shit's awesome. After a year or two, not catching any fish on their lunker logs, they say, you know what? This shit's not awesome. I rather watch, Whistling Diesel break shit. So, I don't know. Maybe that was what happened. I don't know. Jeremy, I would like to see some of them. I would like to see a tournament where they do the pro on pro. That was always fun because it always stirred up a little shit. Hank needs to give up the podcast. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think Hank can have a great podcast. It just needs to be. You have to have a direction. You know what I mean? If you're going to go at it like him, like if you're going to do like a professionally produced, like well done podcast, you got to look to what that you want to like make a revenue stream from. You gotta be creative, and the first problem is most of these guys get into this stuff, and it's the same thing with anybody. They get into a market that they're not familiar with, and it's the same with guys who do YouTube. And I've never understood guys who put out YouTube content that make a run at it, that say they don't watch YouTube videos. And I feel like that's really strange to me, because then you're not cognizant of audio, and you're not cognizant of a lot of things, of like how videos are made and how people do it, and making a product that like makes sense. So yeah, I don't like, how do you, but to bring it back to Hank's probably not watching everybody's podcast, right? So he doesn't have a direction that he would be laying in bed thinking, oh, well, I like this guy, I like Rogan, and I like this guy, and I like this guy. Why couldn't I like mash this up and I could like do something like this? Clay, I think Castledine doesn't want to get pigeonholed into. I don't think he wants his ability to fish to get shadowed by his YouTube career. I don't think he wants people to forget what a badass he is and be like, oh, you're that YouTube. Like he wants to be known, obviously, as the guy who beats ass in fishing tournaments, not the YouTube guy. And that's everybody. You know what I mean? Like I'll be the bait painter forever, but it's like I can catch the shit out of fish. Like I did that before I ever painted baits, but I'll be the bait painter. You know what I mean? So blew my mind for Steve Kennedy to say miss out on the Depths 250 and HUD craze. Ow. Ow. We have made impact. We're still here. They'll have regulations on tech soon, but it may not be enough. Wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for good people saying slow down and Randy saying stop. Probably right, Johnny. Probably right. Like, did y'all see Andy Morgan's little video before he went to the bank beater tournament? leave. He kept saying leave the game as you found it, but I don't know if that's a old saying or not, or if he just coined it, but I think he replaced game with some other word, or I think game was in that saying was another word, but I mean it's kind of true. Like what was wrong with how it was? I mean, I guess it had its flaws, but too much info out there about everything to miss anything. Yeah, leave the pond better than you found it. Yeah, pretty much, pretty much. So I don't know. I think you just got like honestly, Ray Scott kept the ship straight because Ray Scott had the vision, obviously. And I think after that, you just had a bunch of people throwing shit up against the wall to see what stuck. Because it's the same thing with like when like kids or people buy businesses. You know what I mean? Like a guy who opened a restaurant and it was his menu and it was his baby and he sells the restaurant and then the new owner comes in and they want to like do different shit. Like it doesn't work because it's not his vision, it's not his thing to begin with. He doesn't see it. Same thing with me. If I sell tackle craft and somebody else starts coming in, I'm like, all right, here's how you paint all this stuff and let them paint all it. All the life is gone. You know what I mean? Because it's all between here and you lose all the heart and soul of what you've got. And I think that's what happened to Bass and everything else, especially MLF. Um, uh, Johnny, I went Friday. It was good. Some people want to make money, so others want to make good pizza. There you go. Shit always sticks. That's the problem. It's not streamlined with certain restrictions. No, that's the problem with shit. Is if you get if you're good enough at marketing and sales and all that kind of stuff, you can sell a shit sandwich and people will probably buy it. Say, listen, I know it's fecal matter. I know it's shit. Just give it a chance. It's not like any shit you've ever eaten before. I'm not even asking you to eat the whole thing. Just take a couple bites and let me know what you think. Yeah, but this is shit. I know. I know. There's a lot of negative connotation around shit these days. But I'm just telling you, it's vegan, it's organic. Give it a shot. Shit always sticks. Life's a shit sandwich. The more bread you have, the less shit you got to eat. There you go. Clay, you're damn Aristotle over here. We have people in Illinois wrapping boats that have only cashed one check in 6 years, and his owner had to do that for him. Heck, we have to see videos of the tackle he used to finish. Oh, Dustin, I feel like I don't know if that's still a thing anymore. I feel like it's slowed down because people realized how stupid it was. But I remember back in the day when um, back in the day when social media, I guess, was just getting going, and sponsors and such were pressuring anglers to be present on social media and like, oh, you got to post every day or you got to post like 6 times a week. You got to do all this kind of shit. Guys didn't know what to do. They took the layup and they would just say, yeah, leaving Santee Cooper. Going to do a little recap. Let you guys know the baits I used for my 91st place finish, and no money, but I threw a threw an 8-inch zoom lizard for a few days. Caught a limit on that every day for about 7 pounds, and then tried to get a big bite and never got it. So it's like, dude, I don't give a rat's ass about any of that shit. You sucked. Like, I could have done better than that, or I feel like I could have. I'd like to try, rather than sit here listening to the damn lizard report for a no check. Ripping Bassett is Platitude. Yeah, I was there. I was very much anti-Jersey, Morgan. Very much. I was. That was my. I'm still in the generic phase, other than Tacklecraft. That's why I like. That's why I like Costco, because most of their stuff doesn't have like logos on it. Johnny, this is a safe place where you can come as a recovering patch pirate and admit your faults. It's commendable, and it takes a strong man to stand up in front of this group and say, guys, I went down the wrong road. I was a patch pirate, but I've seen the errors of my ways, and I have removed my patches, and I just wear Tacklecraft hats and shirts now. Gator, those are the best, dude. Clay, I kind of like wraps. I want to wrap my boat, and the only reason I want to wrap my boat is because it sits out in the sun, and I want it to protect my boat. I want to use it as a cover, as a boat cover, pretty much, and just fade out the wrap and not my boat. But patch pirates are fun. I always was amused at the patch pirates. They used to get to me early on when I was a young man, but I don't know. You see the enthusiasm those guys have. A lot of them. It's hard to take that away from them. You know what I mean? Like, they feel like they wake up, they got a show to go to, they throw on their damn jersey, they feel like king of the world, dude. Makes you feel good. I'm for it. Whether it's probably shitty for the market, but whatever. That was always my thing with it, Morgan, is to me it put a bullet on my back. I mean, a bullseye on my back. If I'm gonna go out there with like pro garb on, like, you better be damn sure you're gonna catch them. Because if you show up with the wrapped boat and the jersey and all this shit, and you catch 7 pounds, and you don't even get, nobody even acknowledges you walking through the parking lot, like, no, that ain't it. That ain't it. But I do want to wrap my boat. For protection. If everything on your jersey, yeah, I'm down with that. It's the I think the patch pirate that we're really talking about is the patch pirate that's got Daiwa and Shimano on either side of their chest, or they've got Zoom and like some other soft plastic, like Zoom and Missile. And it's like, listen, dude, come on. Like, how dumb do you think we are? You have a Daiwa sponsorship and Shimano? Like, Shimano is like the hardest sponsorship on planet Earth to get. They haven't sponsored hardly anybody for the last 40 years because they don't have to. But dipshit in 68th place in the local tournament is sponsored by them and Iowa. Incredible. Wow. I'll throw a little horseshoe. I'll put a little asterisk down at the bottom. Please send Horseshoe Customs your Whopper Plopper repaints. Tower Rods. Oh, sorry. Had to clarify. What's the other one? Mercury and Yamaha. That was my only patch pirate beef, is if you have conflicting sponsors, because at that point it's just totally out of control. Sorry, Gator. I mean, hell, you don't even see patches anymore. Patches aren't even a thing. Hayden, I don't know. I think you have to set it up. Some of it auto renews, some of it doesn't. Morgan, what was really funny was like when I was really like psychologically trying to like decipher the whole fishing industry, and like if I wanted to be a part of it and like fish for a living and like all this, because that was the goal all along, was to fish for a living. And I started looking, and you know, you hear, oh, this guy's getting he's only getting like a 10% discount, or he's only getting a 20% discount. And I started thinking about it, and I was like, well, if this guy gets a 20% discount, I get the same discount ordering from Tackle Warehouse on Black Friday. You know what I mean? Like, why would I work my ass off for Woo Tungsten for 20% off when I can just wait for Black Friday and order all the same shit? Does that make any sense? And you don't have to patch, pirate, and you don't have to do any of that stuff. You just, yeah, you just buy your stuff. I don't know. Call me crazy. I won't be able to say you're sponsored. I guess not. I guess not. Well, I guess I'll go sand some baits. It's been a lengthy one. Or just buy your tungsten from China for 40% off or more. Or more. I never bit the bullet, AJ. I never could bite the bullet and spend drop that coin on a bulk tungsten order. There's a guy here that was selling tungsten at his shop. And I went in there and he was buying it from somebody else. And I was like, do you want me to just tell you where to get this from so you don't have to buy it from this guy? And you can sell your tungsten for cheaper? He was like, yeah, that would be awesome. He's like, okay. Clay, you couldn't get anybody to throw you any coin for kicking your board around? Member of Omnia and get 25% off. There you go. You're already sponsored. But what's crazy is Omnia won't. I mean, I guess Omnia gets a little bit of. It's such a weird dynamic though, because like you give somebody the same discount that they would get at Omnia, but you just tell them that they're sponsored and they will take you. They will fall on any sword for you. You know what I mean? They're like, they will tell every friend imaginable about you, and you've done nothing for them. It's weird. I got mine with my logo and size lasered onto it, but don't try to sell it. Are you recommending that I do the same but don't try to sell it, or are you saying you don't try to sell it? Look forward to when China-made stuff is obsolete, manufacturing strong in America again. I don't know that. I don't know what would happen in the fishing industry. I mean, it's like 97% China. Oh, I thought you were saying that it was a bad idea to get into the tungsten world, which I would think is not a great place to be. Uh, Omni has really stepped on the toes of Tackle Warehouse and BP for sales, I bet. I don't think there's that. I don't know what happened to hey, yeah. I don't know what happened to Tackle Warehouse, but they kind of had a weird little blip in their thing. Yeah, I'm leaving. I gotta go take the dog outside. So you're doing crap on the floor. All right, guys. Good rant today. We'll check y'all next time. Gonna probably do a stream Thursday night. Camp. See y'all. Adios, dudes.